Welcome back to the Takara'S Hangar. Happy Friday, everybody. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about Takara and the new direction that seems that they are going, which I am very pleased in the direction Takara is moving. Even if you are not a Takara-only fan, or you're mostly into third-party, Takara going in this direction is a good thing for all collectors. Aside from the whole options are a great thing, Takara really is the top dog in the Masterpiece. It is their realm, and doing what they're doing is setting a precedent for all third parties to follow. We're going to get into talking about all of this, the good and the bad, which is mostly good, coming up. For the past few years, the biggest problem with Takara was that they were doing mostly just reissues. They were doing 2.0s and 3.0s of very popular characters such as Prime and Bumblebee, and the Seekers for that one. But see, one of the characters I would have liked to see them do a 2.0 of is this Ironhide. Now, I've got a picture in a minute to show you why I don't think that's even on their radar, which is kind of a good thing, not going back and rehashing characters. But looking at it now, years later, I'm happy to have the MP44. I'm happy to have the new version of Bumblebee and all of that stuff. So that's good. But going forward, I don't want to see very many more 2.0s. I said it in my news coverage in another one of my videos. But this picture shows like they're almost proud of this Ironhide and this Ironhide mold. It's almost like they like it. It's kind of keeping up with the new figures. Or is this also a hint, hey, we're actually going to make a new one of these soon? Who knows? Who knows how they operate? But sometimes some of these signals are right in our face. Now, when it comes to the 2.0s and the 3.0s and all that kind of stuff, I do think the Seekers needed a refresh. They needed a new mold. Because I really wasn't pleased with the original Seekers, and I saw what Make Toys did, but I still felt like it wasn't quite where I wanted it, and I'm happy with these. I'm happy these are a little bit too short. I do like the deformation space better because they're bigger, but overall, the Takara ones look good. They look great, and going forward, we're probably going to get all the different colors of Rainmakers and Coneheads and all that, although none of that has actually been officially announced that I know of, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get it. I mean, you know that's kind of how Takara works. They like to keep using that mold until it's completely worn out, but you could probably expect it to come pretty soon, maybe announcement later this year. Where I really feel Takara has changed the way they operate, or the way they look at the Masterpiece line, is with this Skids figure. Now, I could say RC in a way, but let's talk about the Skids figure. Now, there are three things that I'm seeing that they have changed. And when you think about this, this isn't something like an announcement they make or something they talk about for the most part. One of them is, this is action speaking louder than words. And so the first thing about this is obscure character design. It's an obscure character. You have to agree, it's more or less a pretty obscure character overall. Not that many people are saying Skids is at the top of their wish list. It's not at the top of my wish list. I'm not sitting there saying that I want to get a whole bunch of Skids and a whole bunch of different colors of them. But for the most part, it's going more obscure than the top 6, 8, or 10 characters and rehashing them over and over. And it's breaking that cycle of rehashing characters. So that's pretty awesome in my opinion. The next one, the point number 2, that they seem to be going in a new direction is a more simplified transformation. Now, I don't have my hands on this, but nobody out there said this was a hard transformation. I haven't heard of anyone breaking this. Now, I'm sure someone has, and I'm sure some people struggle with the transformation at points, but I don't have my hand on it. I was going to pick up the crosscut, I think. I still haven't yet. I keep wanting to pick up things, but I just don't yet, so I don't even have a groove for my defense sword. So, but looking at this thing overall, I think it works pretty well, and I think that it's a pretty smooth transformation. It doesn't look very complex. But that was one of their goals that they stated with this, is a more simplified transformation. Third is the price. Now, $90. See, when you think about what they were doing with like $120 Bumblebee, and now this is $90. So this whole thing has changed Takara, going from making a $450 figure that everybody's complaining about the price, and yes, it was a high price, but going from the days of $450 Optimus Primes to now a $90 Skids, which kind of is crazy. You know Optimus Prime's going to sell no matter what, but Skids, it's a bit of a risk, and it's a good price, all at the same time. Now, we could split hairs and say, okay, well, it's changed with RC. She's a little more obscure of a character, and that they're going to do repaints of her too, like they've done with the Sniper. But a little bit of share of character. Price on her, though, at 160, and she's about the same size as Skids. Not as simplified as a transformation, but still probably the most simplified transformation of the RCs out there, except for maybe MMC. But overall, following this whole sort of new Takara roadmap, this one works too. So now kind of getting into the future, and how's this going to follow the roadmap with their Trailbreaker. Now, the Trailbreaker follows the roadmap so far from what we've seen. So it's not an obscure character by any means. This is Trailbreaker's a character everybody would want. But it's not remaking a 2.0 or 3.0 of something else. It's giving us an all-new character, which is something that's pretty awesome. And it's going to be probably a more simplistic transformation. Nobody really knows yet. It's too early to tell. This doesn't actually look super simple to me, to tell you the truth. But it might be. It might be in the end. So that's something I'm holding out hope for on this one. And the price, about 150, 160 bucks, somewhere in that price range for this size of a figure, while Fansways has put theirs out at 180, so it's doing pretty good. Now, while Takara is giving this option to collectors for a reasonable price that is probably going to be pretty good, pretty tune accurate, all that kind of stuff, Fansways might actually win this round. So there is a big, big possibility that Fansways is going to win this round. Now, Fanstoys has made us wait 5 years for this thing or something stupid like that, and it looks pretty solid. It looks like a standard Fanstoys release, but it seems kind of strange, like, oh, Takara is now announcing and they're going to put theirs out around the same time Fanstoys is putting theirs out. And so it's almost like a Fanstoys technique that Takara is using on Fanstoys, which is strange, because Fanstoys usually likes to bot block other people, but that sort of came out of the blue from Takara. I only bring this up because of the strange looking box art that you get with the Outrider. It doesn't look like a Fanstoys box art. It's unbranded and all that kind of stuff. Probably because Fanstoys was either told not to put this figure out or something along those lines. Who really knows? This is all pure speculation, but I don't have mine yet. And I just hear people talking about how bland the box is. And it's a bland, boring looking box, more or less, versus some of the other artwork and stuff that's been put out for Fanstoys and branded. So maybe there's a correlation here. I think there is. But I start to wonder about the simplicity of this, because I know that X-Transbots, whenever they start getting into their opening doors and opening hoods and all that kind of stuff, that the transformation is not as much fun. It's not that smooth. It's a little bit harder, more challenging because of those gimmicks. So can Takara actually pull this off and have a smooth transformation? Because we know X-Transbots has been trying to pull this off with opening doors and hoods and all that kind of stuff, and it just makes the transformation a bear. We'll see when this comes out. As for the Skyfire, Jetfire, Skyfire, I think that this is amazing that they're doing it. I've already made a whole video talking about it, but the fact that they're bringing this out, and does this follow all three of those points of Takara going forward with action speaking louder than words? Is this a more obscure character? Well, not super obscure, but in the grand scheme of things, this isn't one of those characters that's in every episode. This character wasn't around forever. You could probably count on less than two hands, how many episodes he was in, but he's still one of my fan favorites. It is a definite fan favorite figure. It's also one of those things back in the lore that they used that Jetfire figure and a Skyfire character. Now we're getting that character in Takara form. So overall, great looking figure. Not too obscure, but not something that you'd really expect them to do. Also, the second one, better price. $270 is, or $260, $270, depending on where you get it. I mean, as cheap as $250 at some places. But you think about that, that's not much more than a Seeker, and it's way bigger. And there's way more to it, in my opinion, than you get with a Seeker. But very awesome. And it's not going to get repainted 1,000 times, maybe 2 repaints. And there's a lot going on with this figure, so yes, the price is right on the money with where it should be for that size of a figure. I mean, this isn't $450 like MP44. Simplified transformation, it doesn't look like it's going to be a huge, challenging transformation overall. Here's again yet another picture where they are showing Ironhide, as if they're proud of him, or as if they're hinting, yeah, we're going to be doing something with this Ironhide. I don't know, but it's just really odd that every release picture has a picture of Ironhide in it. So how does this masterpiece Raiden, and this whole thing, how does this fit into their plan? And this is purely just one-off project. This has nothing to do really with the Masterpiece line, and it's more surrounding the trains. Now, I really got excited about this when I first saw like the shadow picture and all that kind of stuff. I thought that, oh, we're going to be getting Devastator, we're going to be getting this, that, and another, and then for a lot of reasons, even though it's going to be expensive up front, like these are $150 to $200 each train, but, and you need 6 of them, and that's a lot of money. But at the end of the day, I don't know if this would get knocked off as much, but if they made like a Devastator, I'm pretty sure that would. But I really don't see them getting into doing all the combiners. I just don't see that. I don't see that from Takara, but again, they could surprise us. Now it gets into the question, how obscure are they going to go? Are they going to do Headmasters? Well, nobody really knows, but I would actually say I would put it to Takara to eventually do some Headmasters. Here are some Make Toys ones from back in the day, but I would think that they eventually would get around to it, or at least doing 1 or 2 in the future. But how obscure would they go? Nobody really knows. The direction they're going right now, it looks like there is a big possibility that we could get a Mirage and we could get a Jazz, and that's simply because of the fact that they're making all these figures with the actual logos on them. They got the Toyota logo on them and those kinds of things. So it kind of opens up the fact that they are getting the licensing for all of these, and it seems like they're able to pull that off. So there's a lot of question about Jazz mostly, but I don't think Mirage would be that big of a deal. But overall, I think these are in the cards in the future. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe a year or two from now, but in the cards. So one big question is Blaster. Now, the same source that said MP44 was coming said Blaster's coming, and it's still years later, no Blaster. But I do want to say that it seems kind of strange that we got 2 companies rushing to get this figure out. Well, I don't know if Fansoy's in a hurry or not, but they did announce that Deformation Space was in a super hurry, in and out. Boom, got it done, moved on. And that tells me they know what Takara is working on, or have an idea what Takara is working on, or maybe it's just dumb luck. Then we got X-Transbots working on a Galvatron and an Ultra Magnus at the same time, and these are projects that seem to be pretty high priority to them, and there's a lot going on, especially with the Magnus. Makes me wonder, is this in the cards for Takara? Now, a Magnus would just be them doing a 2.0, which I'm not really excited for Takara doing a 2.0, but I really don't understand we don't have a Galvatron for Takara yet, and so that would make perfect sense. So how does Takara really affect the third party? Even if you're entirely into third party, they affect third party because whatever they're working on, it changes the release schedule or how these companies go about it. Either they hurry up to get it to market, or they put it off till later because Takara is making one. That is one way that it definitely affects it. I mean, I'm surprised we don't have a 2.0 Soundwave, but at the end of the day, I'm kind of glad they didn't do a 2.0 Soundwave, yes, and we're getting other figures. Now we're late in the game of Masterpiece, so there have been a lot of characters made by third party. In the early days, Takara made the vast majority of your shelf. Now Takara makes up half or less than half of your shelf. So they're going to be taking on third party directly with their releases. Will theirs be the best? Will it be better? Will it just be a decent sub in? Who knows with some of these characters. But one thing about Takara was they were the highest priced. Now they're better priced, but they're still going to be the lowest priced when it comes to KOs. In a time that we're seeing Fansoys getting knocked off, we're seeing other companies getting knocked off, like Big Firebird and all that kind of stuff, we can still expect, hopefully, that some of these bigger ticket items, even though $270, $260 is a decent price for this Skyfire, getting them at $125 would be so much better, wouldn't it? So I would expect that, and that is a big help to the community for those who really can't keep up with nearly $200 and $300 figures all the time. Lastly, I want to touch on quality. I know a couple people have said that they've had some quality issues with their Seekers, but I haven't really had any quality issues with Takara Seekers. My Seekers, I did have a couple of minor things with the deformation space, but hey, for the price and for the size and the aesthetic and all that stuff, I live with it. It's fine. But I think the Seekers are fine. They're stable. They do okay for what they are. And even the KOs are pretty good of it. It seems like their quality is improving. I mean, even with this RC, their quality has improved. It's not like their quality is starting to sag. But I'm curious what you think. Do you think Takara's going in the right direction? Do you think they're going in the right direction to help the community and give us figures that we sort of need versus rehashes of old figures in the past or trying to fix their old failures? Are you excited about the future, what Takara can bring going forward? Is Takara's lower price keeping Fans Toys' price in check, or is that the KO's job? Did you give up on Takara? And are you more excited about some of these releases than you ever thought you'd be? So let me know in the comments below. I'm curious to see what everyone else thinks. Am I way off track here? Like and subscribe. Try to hear him hang out.